Hi Cancer, welcome to your reading for December. Thanks for tuning in. Join me here while I shuffle. Tune in with your higher self and guides. Ask them to connect with my higher self and guides so that we can create a feedback loop through time and space to bring you messages that are tailored for you. If you take a moment here to set up that dialogue, you'll find that this is very much a personal reading for you. So we're going to take a look at the general energies available at this time and talk about it. So, last shuffle. Let's take a look. Okay, Cancer. This feels a little bit challenging, to say the least. There's influences in this spread or energies. The cards that are here are sort of feeling like there's a description of some kind of burdensome, worrisome time that you might be in now, with some maybe challenging experiences that you haven't fully understood the purpose of yet. And you may be feeling a little bit like there might be forces working against you in some way. And that's not actually what's happening, it just feels that way. But there is a lot of dynamic energy here that is kind of invoking a lot of healing. There might be a healing crisis going on for you. That may not be a physical experience, but you might be going through some type of, turmoil in your daily life that is causing you to feel stressed out or anxious, nervous, worried, tired, unsure of yourself. Maybe your confidence is a little bit shaken at the moment. And there is kind of like a changing of like, how do I describe that? It's like you are shedding some old stuff, but it's kind of painful. That's what this feels like. It feels like you're in sort of a little bit of a tumultuous time, and things don't maybe make sense. You may be feeling a little bit confused. You may be feeling overwhelmed. You may be feeling overworked. There may be, I'm hearing silence. So for some of you, if you're dealing with a person, if this is a relationship reading and we're talking about a dynamic between you and another person that maybe has been a love interest, or someone that you have already been involved with in a partnership in a more committed way, or a more serious way, or a more complicated way, there may not be communication at this time for some of you. There may be silence. There could be stonewalling, or there could just be like a decision on both sides to kind of just take a bit of space and take some quiet time. For others, there might be the opposite, where there is like bickering and arguing and complicated, confusing conversations that may not seem to go anywhere. There may be like, okay, so if this, for some people, we could be talking here about someone that you're in a relationship with already, or that you are going through kind of a rough patch with. For others, if it's not about your other significant person, you might be simply having this experience within you where you may be feeling overwhelmed with options and a little bit confused, not sure which direction to take. You might have a heavy workload that is, kind of feeling a little bit like more than you want, but you don't know how to put things down. You may not know how to say no. You may not know how to kind of turn down offers, or you may not know how to delegate if you're in a work environment where you're kind of a responsible person. Maybe you work alone. For some of you, if you're an entrepreneur, you might be feeling overwhelmed by your workload and frustrated that you might not be feeling like you're actually getting anywhere with what you're doing. There's some of that energy in this reading. What else is here? You have these two pages in the reading, which is interesting. Page of Swords in reverse in the position of recent past, and then here is Page of Pentacles in the upright in the hopes and fears position. And then there's also, as far as court cards go, this Knight of Cups in reverse and Queen of Wands in the upright. So there's some people in this energy, but there's also these could also just be describing aspects of your personality or aspects of the situation. But I feel with this, in this quadrant, with this Knight of Cups in reverse and this Four of Wands in reverse, this could be speaking about some changes in a dynamic with a relationship here, either some kind of more serious relationship, maybe your partner, either a business partner or a love interest partner. There could be some challenges there at this time where maybe communication isn't good. Maybe you're not able to see eye to eye. You might have been taking space from each other. You might be considering leaving the relationship. They might be considering leaving the relationship. There's some like feeling of up in the air here. With this Ten of Wands as well, there's a feeling that you might have reached the limit of what's possible for you to manage and tolerate. And with this Five of Swords here, there could be like a not good communication or no communication at all, or alternatively with this Five of Wands, too much communication that doesn't go anywhere, and there's maybe bickering and conflict. So overall, it's not an easy energy that's in this spread, but we're going to take a look a little bit further and see where we can take this energy. This Page of Pentacles upright with the Death card in reverse. This is in the hopes and fears quadrant. This is telling me that you have, you maybe have reached a limit. You know, like this diagonal axis here is telling like you may have like reached the limit of what you can maintain and manage with this Ten of Wands. And with the Death card here in reverse with Page of Pentacles, this is saying like you actually are ready for change. You want change. You may be at the point where you like with the Death card in reverse, what I'm feeling here is that you know you've reached the limit of what you actually are willing and able to tolerate, but you may not have actually kind of passed over that threshold within yourself where you can actually make the decision to do something in the physical world to kind of catalyze and change your situation. I think this is much more in the realm of your thoughts and feelings right now. But with this Page of Pentacles paired here as the hopes and fears, it's telling me that you're ready for change. You're ready for a new physical beginning. You're ready to put your energy into something else. But as I said, with the Death card in reverse here, I feel like you may not have actually taken that physical decision in a really affirmative, positive, like I'm doing this kind of way to actually activate some physical change in your reality. This is more, I feel like, more of a decision-making process that's going on. But you may not have actually gone that next step to actualize it in your physical world. Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck. Three of Wands in reverse with the High Priestess, Chariot in reverse, and Two of Pentacles in reverse. There's also the Tower here, and I'm going to pull that as well into this reading. The Tower is in reverse. So what I feel here is that there is a need here. It's saying here that there is a need here for you to reassess your boundaries, or reassess your goals, reassess your plans, like where you see yourself going. Because I feel there's a need here for you to adjust accordingly as things have changed over the the last year or so. You may not have kind of adapted to the changing landscape of the reality that you're actually manifesting and creating. And so the High Priestess here is talking about using more of your wisdom, your higher self, your internal knowing to maybe overcome some of your, maybe like with the Chariot and the Empress here in reverse, both of these cards here I feel are describing you. What I feel is here is that you may be attached to some ideas that you had in the past about how things were going to be and how you were going to do certain things, or how you were going to evolve your life and make certain shifts. And perhaps as those shifts have rolled out, you maybe have needed to adjust to certain things that have changed a little bit and maybe aren't exactly the way that you had at one time visualized or invoked. And so there's a feeling here of needing to update your reality and update your... It's almost like you're being too stubborn and being fixed and holding on to ideas that you had in the past, which now over time have needed to be changed and updated, but you may be still stuck a little bit in the past with some like fixed notions of how things were going to be. And so, yeah, Chariot reversed here with the Two of Pentacles upright, along with the Tower in reverse. This feels to me like you need to really like be realistic about what's going on, weigh up your options, and reroute the course that you're on. With the Chariot in reverse, that's really interesting. Chariot is your own card, and I don't know if you noticed that when I first started shuffling, when I split the deck, I looked at the two bottom cards of the deck, and there was Chariot and the Moon. Both of those cards are kind of Cancerian cards. So I found that a little bit interesting, and seeing the Chariot come out again here in the reading in reverse, it does feel to me like there, and also the Tower card is in reverse here. I feel like there is some energy in you that is maybe too reluctant to change. There's something a little bit stubborn here. There's something a little bit stubborn. It's like, you know, things are not actually how you want them to be, but you may be a little bit fixated on a certain thing, whether it's a certain person, it could be a certain activity, it could be a certain task, it could be a certain venture or a certain dream, a certain goal, something like whatever it is that you kind of initiated in the past that you've been working on and towards, and things have maybe changed along the way, but you may not have updated your agenda. That's what I feel is here. So with the Two of Pentacles here and the Tower and like this extension of the reading is clearly saying to me that you need to really dig deep to find honesty and truth and wisdom, to notice where you may need to adjust and update and reorganize your goals and adjust your behavior accordingly. Like if you're you need to maybe overcome some idea from the past that you had about whatever it is. And simply decide to be a little bit more fluid. Because what I feel with this Chariot reverse is that you're not being fluid, you're not flowing with things, you're kind of working against the grain somehow. It's a very interesting reading. It does feel like a very challenging energy, if I'm very honest. And so with that, what I feel, the reason why I took the Tower card out of at the bottom of the deck as well with this extension, is that I feel there's a little bit of a message here from your guides and higher self to say that if you don't make some changes soon, if you don't adjust and deal with, like, because for some of you this attachment energy is a little bit like you might have some pride, there might be some ego involved, you might feel like you don't want to let people down, you don't want to disappoint, you don't want to and you might be coming at this from the perspective of how other people see you, but actually none of that really matters. And maybe that's what needs to be addressed here, is like maybe you have too much attachment to the way other people perceive you, and that might be preventing you from rerouting your course to something that's actually much more joyful and fun for you, and overcome all the struggle that you may be going through because you think that's what you need to do in order to, you know, live up to some expectations that you think other people have of you, but they don't. It's just what you need and what you want. And if you don't, I feel like with this Tower card, the reason I pulled it and why I'm talking about it is that I feel that if you don't make some necessary changes too, life will do it for you, and that can be really challenging. With the Tower in reverse can be quite challenging, because if it's sort of telling that you may be in a position where you're avoiding making changes that you know you need to make, that you may have known for some time that you need to make, and you might be kind of ignoring that or avoiding that, and the end result is that it doesn't go away. It kind of can still maybe creep up on you to the point where some externalized events may occur that forces your hand a little bit. So just be aware about that, and feel into what you're experiencing right now, and just see where it is that you might have resistance to change, and address those things, and see if there are ways that you can really support yourself into finding greater fulfillment and happiness. Because this Nine of Cups at the crowning card in reverse is very telling, because it's telling me that you're not happy at the moment actually, but you're still pursuing things that you may have once set as goals, and they might not be relevant anymore, but for some reason you might not be able to let them go. That's the general feeling I get from this reading. And I feel that that might be it for this part of the reading. I'm just going to check over here and see if there's anything else. But yeah, this Empress reverse and the Nine of Cups in reverse are pretty telling. They're both talking about self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth, self-value, happiness, wellness, well-being in general. And seeing these both in reverse is, like I said, it's telling me that you may not be having the best time right now. You might not be feeling awesome. And Judgment at the heart of the reading, crossed by Wheel of Fortune. Again, this is saying like you may have been through a really trying period, a very difficult period. This is kind of like maybe a type of healing crisis or some kind of initiation that you're going through where you don't maybe necessarily totally understand all of what's going on and why you're in such a challenging position. But clearly there is some like the energy of this card is saying like you need to give yourself a rebirth where you kind of like come out of an old state of being and renew or reinvent yourself in a certain way to kind of overcome that which has long expired, actually. Yeah, and the Wheel of Fortune as a crossing card is saying the challenge for you is to take the reins in a way, like with also like the Chariot kind of says that too. But the Wheel of Fortune is more about you. It's not. Whereas the Tower card is more of like an externalized, apparent externalized. There's nothing external. It's all coming from within, right? But this is some kind of like, could be viewed as an external event that catalyzes you. Whereas the Wheel of Fortune is more about your small daily actions and decisions that you make and activities that you consistently put energy into, which changes the course of your life in a way that improves the quality. It brings about greater wealth, prosperity, happiness, wholeness, abundance, all that good stuff. But that's the challenge, is for you to realize that that's what you need to do. That's what I feel here. You need to realize that it's up to you to make those adjustments and to not wait for some kind of big externalized event to kind of force your hand or to make some changes for you, but rather you need to commit to your own wellness and wholeness and make small, deliberate, consistent effort every day towards improving the quality of your life. All right. I feel that's it for this part of the reading. Just checking. Yeah. Going to take the Voyager deck now. We're going to take a look at your higher octave spread using the same holographic mandala layout. The Voyager deck and the higher octave reading is designed to hopefully provide a little more insight into the forces at play. Maybe it will help describe some blind spots that will help us understand better what situations, circumstances we're dealing with, and how to make the most out of that to get the greatest possible outcome or the greatest learning from what we're dealing with at this time. So again, tune in with me while I shuffle. Send your energy over into the deck so I can get really clear messages for you. There's Two of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. So that was this part of the reading here, this decision making. So that the card at the bottom of the deck for me is kind of like describing what issue or what question your higher self is actually posing on your behalf through this experience that we're having here. Eight of Cups, crossed by the Hermit, Seven of Wands, Temperance reversed, Three of Cups, Nine of Pentacles, Nine of Wands reversed, the Lovers, Seven of Crystals, Ace of Wands, Six of Cups, Five of Crystals, Strength reversed, and Empress. There's Empress again. Okay. So, what this spread is talking about here is a little bit more about like the emotional stagnancy that you may be in right now. And again, it's kind of a similar energy from the previous spread, but the way the cards are falling is kind of describing it in a different way. I feel that what's here is, I feel mostly overall there's a need here for you to first of all acknowledge that you feel the way that you feel, because there may not be a connect. Like there may be a disconnect between your emotional state and your external experience, right? Like you might not have joined the dots between you kind of going through the motions in a certain way, in certain tasks, certain activities, certain things that you do, certain people that you interact with, and your emotional dissatisfaction. You might not have connected those things. Like there might be people that you deal with on a regular basis that you don't like very much, for example, but you may not have had the ability to even realize that you can choose to not deal with those people. That might not be easy to do if it's like, for example, if it's in your workplace. And this is not about, I'm not like promoting cancel culture necessarily. I think we need to get along with people, but there's certain elements in this reading that are kind of telling me that you need to realize that you have to decide, you have to acknowledge first what you feel and be real about that, and from that place then you can make the necessary changes, or at least take steps towards finding solutions for those things, right? Because right now I feel like there's no acknowledgement, I feel like there's a disconnect between, you know, your daily experience and your emotional state. And I feel like there's a need for you to become awakened to, or just even realize, it's an idea, this like Ace of Wands here, it's called illumination in this deck. And it's paired here with Six of Cups, which is called sorrow. So like it feels like you need to realize that your emotions are yours, and they're yours to experience, they're yours to own, they're yours to change, they're yours to transmute. And in that you can feel empowered in things rather than feeling a little bit helpless, which is something I felt in the first reading. I feel like there's a kind of heaviness in both spreads actually, where it feels like you may not even feel like you can even do anything about your situation or the way you feel. And that's not true. Like you have a lot of power actually, and that's something that needs to be realized and understood by you in order to, you know, actually tackle the things that you're facing. What else is here? Well, you know, okay, Eight of Cups at the heart of the reading. And this deck is called Stagnation. I've already kind of covered that. The crossing card in this reading is the Hermit. So for me, that's describing a need for you to kind of like actually take the time to observe yourself, observe your thoughts and feelings. And I did already kind of cover that in what I just described there, but I wanted to just mention that the Hermit card is there because I feel like, again, there's a general feeling of disempowerment in some of this energy of this reading. And I feel like there's a need for you to realize that you can find what you need within. If you actually just like go into your meditation or be more observant of yourself, that's where you're going to figure out what is actually going on. And it'll be through that, also with the High Priestess energy, like connecting to your wisdom, connecting to your knowing, connecting to truth. High Priestess is really about truth, as is the Hermit. From there, you will actually already know and understand what it is that you need to do to actually affect real change in your life, to create a better quality of life. You know, to have this Empress card coming out here in the upright is very encouraging. It's telling me that there is potential here, that you are growing in awareness of understanding that like your wellness and your sense of confidence and self-love and all that, it's really up to you, and that's really in your control. That's something that you have entirely control over. Paired with the Nine of Wands here, it feels like there is a little bit of a need here for you to let go of some things. That's in the previous spread as well in the same position. Ten of Wands is different, but there's a similar energy here of like really kind of reaching the limit of what you can actually endure. But what it's actually describing here is that you have a lot of strength, you have a lot of will actually, and you have a lot of perseverance. And maybe that's something you can, rather than channeling that to continue to endure things that are difficult, perhaps the message here is for you to channel that into some things that are ways in which you can actually make some changes that will improve the quality of your life, rather than putting up with things the way they are. This is kind of describing channeling your will and your endurance and your perseverance and your confidence into cultivating greater sense of self-love and well-being to make things better, make things changed. Temperance is at the foundation here in reverse. So I feel like that feels actually a little bit frustrating, to be honest. Like maybe that is there is kind of a description here of a need for you to realize that you are maybe a little bit out of balance, and that's also something that is kind of been being described through this reading more or less. You need to come into greater balance. You need to kind of calm down a little bit. I feel like there's too much thinking. You may be overthinking things, and in a way that's actually kind of creating more anxiety and stress rather than to help relieve it. So temperance and Hermit together are kind of both really good motivational and advice cards to kind of inspire you, hopefully, to spend a little bit more time in meditation, doing things that calm you down, maybe going for a nice long walk in nature, or, you know, just in general, like switching off from too much of mental activity and coming into more quiet, calm spaces. So definitely work with that if that's something that's resonating with you. In this position of the environment, we have the Lovers upright with Strength in reverse. So in the same quadrant of the reading, in the previous reading, we had this Four of Wands with Knight of Cups reversed. That kind of felt like some of what could be going on here is, for some people, there could be like separation energy. Here the Lovers is upright with Strength. So that's kind of giving a little bit of a different take on the situation. It could be that the union actually is quite a profound and strong and loving one, but there may just be, because you're going through your own thing, that might be actually affecting the way you're able to relate to your partner. And I think with Strength here is kind of also just giving that motivation from your higher self to kind of not give up, you know, keep persevering, keep enduring, keep pursuing your evolving, and with the support of another person, or simply the Lovers card is maybe not even describing another person, but just you coming into balance and harmony and union with yourself. And that again will help sort of shift the way you feel. If you're externalizing too much energy, that can also be making you feel like frustrated and exhausted and overwhelmed. So a lot of what's in this spread as well is like a reminder to come back to the self, to you know, limit or reduce the amount of time you put externalizing your energy into other people, especially relationships that may not be reciprocal, right? So maybe that's something also to address here, is to address or look at relationships that you feel more energy goes out than comes back in, and maybe just kind of like from a very practical point of view, you know, limit the time that you give to those kind of relationships and focus more on yourself or on the relationships that actually do nurture you and do support you. What else is here? 5 of crystals with 7 of crystals, 7 of wands in reverse here. These 3 cards here feel to me like a reiteration of what we said earlier about there's too much thinking going on. I think there needs to be a little bit more calm energy that you invoke, more meditation, quiet time, you know, walking with some music on, calming music, maybe some like, find some, you know, online meditation music or hypnosis or something like that to kind of really get you out of your head, because I think there's just way too much thinking going on and it's making you exhausted. It's like you're trying to solve the problem by thinking, but actually then what's needed here is for you to realize that it's emotional energy that needs to be acknowledged so that it can be released. Because right now you're trying to think too much about the problem to try to solve it, but yeah, you just need to realize that the emotional energy needs to move, and you're not going to move it by thinking about it. You just need to feel it, and then you can release it and move on from whatever stuck, stagnant situation, feeling that you might be in right now. Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck. 2 of Worlds, Emperor reversed, Woman of Pentacles, and Child of Wands. I feel, excuse me, I mean, for some of you, I feel like in general, a lot of what this reading is talking about is like how to find more stability. Like if you're feeling emotionally stressed, or there's some difficulty in your relationships, that might be making you feel a little bit unstable, like your foundation might not be so secure. There's some security, so maybe some insecurity here about your, you know, physical and financial safety. Queen of Pentacles here with the Child of Wands in reverse. Queen of Pentacles with Child of Wands in reverse. For some of you, it's a little bit of an impatience. You know, some of this is a bit of impatience. So again, like there might actually be some issues in the externalized world, but it could be more that you are making things worse than they are by overthinking or being overly worrisome about certain things or being impatient. There could be something here. I'm going to take one more card because I'm not really Magician. I kind of feel like with this Emperor reversed and the Two of Pentacles, there's earthy energy in this part of the reading. But with this Magician card, I feel like it's talking about the need for you to really harness your energy and channel it in a more clear way into the things that you really want. And that brings me back to the first part of the first reading where I talked about how there's a feeling of needing to reassess your goals and visions, because maybe you might have been too fixed on an idea and you've been pursuing it, and maybe things have changed along the way, but you haven't updated. That's kind of bringing me back to that sensation with the Magician here. There's a need for an update of your goals and your aspirations, I feel. But you know, I'm noticing now in this reading you have the Magician, which is number 1 from the Major Arcana. You had the High Priestess in the previous reading and the Empress as well. So 1, 2, 3 and the Emperor number 4. So the first 4 cards from the Major Arcana series are in your reading. So that kind of feels to me like there is a need, as I said, to kind of maybe go back to the drawing board, reassess your goals and dreams, feel out where you're channeling your energy, and just check like if that's actually really where you want to put your goal, your dreams. If the things you're channeling your energy into now are still relevant, if those are projects or tasks or situations, events, people that you had started some time back, and maybe things along the way have changed, but you haven't updated yourself along with that. I feel that's the overall message mainly from this reading, is that there's a need here to update your goals and aspirations and check where you're putting your energy and why, and make changes accordingly if you need to, if you feel dissonant with that, with the way you've been doing things currently. Okay, Cancer, with that I'm going to close out this reading. I'll just check here if there's nothing else. Yeah. It's an honor and a pleasure to read for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found some stuff in there you can work with. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting and subscribing, and I will see you in the next reading.